it live, because Chad told me, shut up. I've got it, I'm ready to go up anytime, but since you don't have a quorum. Let me go get my pencil real quick.
Good morning. Are these mics charged up, or should I pop them on for a few minutes before we start? Are the mics charged up, or do you think? Okay, okay. It may not have been charged or something. Okay. I'm sure that they will be good in a few hours when I need a snack. I thought, I'm in a hurry. I'm going to grab McDonald's. I'm okay. Yeah. What? Okay. Okay. Do it quick. Yep. Say I saw Chad pulling in. No tape. No tape for me.
Okay, we are live, and we're just going to review on page 11 our council budget that we went over on Monday, not knowing at the moment that the live stream had been shut down. So this is just basically to, so it'll be on recorded for posterity. We backed down like we did for everybody, our 3% raise that was automatically put in by almost all departments. We backed it down to zero for the moment. Our big change was sick pay compensation. It had gone up from 100,000 to 150,000, and we thought backing it halfway down to 125 for a total increase of 25,000, leaving it at 125,000 instead of the 150 that was requested. So we took 25,000 off that, leaving 125,000 in sick pay compensation. We subtracted 800 in longevity because of an intended change in council coming up next year. Employee benefits zeroed out to zero. Dues are still 140 as they have been for the last few years. Legal services we kept in there as a legal buffer at 10,000. EIRPC we're going to talk about a little bit later from a couple of emails I got since Monday. We're going to deliberate that this afternoon as we kind of clean up the 3 days that we've done. Right now it's at 19,200, but we are going to talk about that later this morning or afternoon. Pictometry is the aerial photographs of properties and land. Their cost has gone up about 5,500 accordingly. That's how we know if people built, changed drains, built properties, structures. We can compare it every year, different sections. At any rate, like the cost of everything, it's gone up a bit to $30,000. That's up again about $5,500. That's aerial photographs of the county that most counties do. Reclassification is $50,000. That's a buffer for unexpected expenses for the whole county. Sometimes we've had to tap into that. It's just good to have that buffer. That and the rainy day funds are kind of our backups. So that's stayed at $50,000. Again, salaries, like most everyone, has been back down to zero till we find out how much is available for raises for all departments. We'll start that discussion later this morning and this afternoon. Coming up, we have 911 returning with some information at 8:30. That's on pages 19 and 35. Harold? 19 and 35 is at 8:30, the pages. Yep. At 8:30, we have 911, and those are on pages 19 and 35. I'll let you get your pen out. 8:30. That's just coming up in about 5 minutes. Butch, 911. 19 and 35 are the pages. And then Rick should return at 8:45. These are just 15-minute follow-up sessions. And his pages are 5A as an apple. And jail is 21, A and B, so 21. 5 and 21 for Rick at 8:45. Park is returning at 9. And those are pages 24 and 25. Commissioners will be after lunch. We break for their commissioners meeting at 11. And they are page 13 at 12:15. And courthouse, and I don't have that page written down, but we'll find it. So commissioners are 13, or their big one. They have 2.5 pages, I believe. And courthouse we'll look up when we get there. It's a half-page one. Any questions? I don't know yet. I'll have to look it up. So, and if Butch doesn't show up, I think Debbie was given his papers.
I have all of this stuff. I don't know if Butch is coming or not. They ended up not going because of they weren't supposed to be here. But nobody went because of the funeral yesterday. Or is that today? Yeah,
It was yesterday.
yeah, so they ended up not going to the sheriff's conference because of the funeral.
Okay.
So I don't know. I have all of this stuff right here.
Okay. I was at a meeting with him at noon yesterday. He indicated he would come. So that was a change. He didn't think last week he would, but he intends to unless something comes up over there. So Yes, we do. I have it down tentatively for 9:30. And then we'll start talking raises rest of the morning and after the commissioners, and we'll see what we need on Monday. Any questions? Are the three of us over here? You said you saw Chad pull up?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. Well, he works across the street, so he may have pulled in to go in there a few minutes too to organize things.
I did have just since we're chatting, a question about pictometry. Are those actual aerial photos that are taken?
Yes. Yes, they're flyovers.
Is there a satellite service that can just be used that's cheaper?
No, because they're actual photos,
Right,
but
right. So just thinking if there was a subscription.
we do it, we did it, because they do it every 3 years, but, every 2 years. But we ended up kind of getting lost. There was a transition period there that it didn't get paid, so we didn't get done, so we're trying to catch up now.
Okay.
So,
I was just,
I can ask Jody, but to my knowledge, no, there's no,
because with all the satellites out there
Right.
these days, they can just do an overlay. This was like they do with, what made me think of it was a story about Lake Mead and how they did like an overlay of the lake just all these different years. And I know there are different commercial companies out there that use satellites just to take.
and I can ask, we can ask
Yeah.
and see.
You can get on Google Earth, but I don't know how often they update that.
I know that the Google Earth stuff that's used as an overlay with GIS, I think it updates I think there was like a 2013 update, a 2015, 2020. It's not every year, yeah.
I think most counties use the aerial, but that's a good question.
Yeah, and I can ask and see.
Good
Found my
morning.
new business. I'm retiring.
There you go, there you go.
You're thinking ahead. They're not retiring for a few years. We just went over the council for live stream, just as a courtesy that it would be recorded. Even though we didn't have a quorum, we did on Friday, we just didn't have it live streamed. So I just went over the budget. And we're going to talk about sometime today, EIRPC, because we really didn't delve into the pros and cons. So that'll be on the agenda. I put agendas in front of your desk, and I added rainy day fund because Jason, when he spoke to us, said, really need to look at that because you've been at, whatever it was, $205,000 for like 5 years. And yeah. Well, last year is don't worry about this. This year he says, most people are putting more buffer in there. But we do have that 50,000 reclassification buffer, but if we had something significant, that would go quickly. And if we had something really significant, the 205,000. Yes. I don't know how much that is, but yes. We're up to 900,000, I think, in savings, but net, we don't have that available for raises because we were deficit with the requests. So we've got to figure out requests versus what we've actually cut and see how much are for raises. I'd figured out about a month ago that it takes about $100,000 per 1%. That's a ballpark. It's a fairly close ballpark. And when I was talking to Chad on Monday, I told him I'd put a 25% in for fringe benefits because last year we had no insurance increase, and this year we have a 5%. So I put 25. He says, I don't think that's necessary because we're putting that in extra for insurance. We're putting the 5%, so to add that on top a second time on the bottom line, he said 20 would be sufficient for like perf and all the other deductions so that employers have to pay. There he is.
Sorry, I had a work fire this morning.
Sorry, did you get it put out?
Not as good as really.
Oh, we don't mind.
You have fire extinguishers?
Just stand for down. My problem in the morning is that the baby is not looking up. So it's hard to get out the door every morning. You still get to work on
This is the judgment-free zone.
Anne and her 4-year-old grandson made these yesterday, and they're chock full of blueberries. Blueberries.
Thank you.
I realized I forgot my budget.
Having dinner for breakfast, which is actually healthy. I can do that a lot.
It's bucatini, meatballs, and marinara, and Alfredo. And I got it Saturday night. I broke quarantine with this, and it's gonna go bad, so I'm gonna eat it now. So it was really good, and it was nice to be in public again. So. Oh, I went to bed so late last night. Are we live? Okay, then I'm gonna stop talking because I. Yeah. Okay, I'll drop my notebook over.
For those listening, Betsy's having dinner for breakfast.
There's nothing wrong.
I said top hat, reheated top hat, or cold top hat's my favorite breakfast.
Did you guys discuss this after I left on Monday? Did you discuss this letter from?
Okay, for us to keep on schedule, I was in a meeting also with Butch yesterday. I thought he was going to be here, but maybe something came up. We're relooking at 911, and Butch gave Debbie the papers that he wanted to go over, so I'll turn it over to Debbie when she's ready. Just-
So that everybody can hear. So what Butch gave me, he took, the 1222, it's on page 35A.
911 totals on 19 and 35, but she's going to be on 35.
He took the salaries back. Yeah, he took all the salaries back to last year's. Then he took the professional pay. He well, mine says 35A.
Okay, 19, page 19 and 30.
1222 is what I'm reading off of. This is the 1222. Oh.
Okay,
Professional pay, yeah, he had it at 7,200 on 35A. It's 1,015. He upped it to 7,600. That's on 35A.
what's the number again?
1,015.
Okay, that professional pay is up to
He
7,600.
moved that up to 7,600. Yeah. Oh, no, I didn't. Did you ask if I printed it?
Those are mine, but I didn't ask for them, but they're mine.
Then the longevity, he left it, it's at 2,800. He lowered it 1,011. He took it down $200 to 2,800. Social Security, he put at, he put Social Security at 38,000 instead of the 33,630. Yes. Yeah, because he's added a, has an open position. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Because that has 9. 1, 2, 3.
Well, it's all right.
So yeah, he added there's a new position added. I didn't realize that. At 36,430, he has an open position, so he did add a new position on this.
Did he take away the overtime to do that? Because that was his discussion.
I haven't got that far yet on overtime.
Oh, okay. Overtime's
Well-
high on the list.
Overtime,
1,000.04.
I'm thinking, because that's statement of salaries. So yes, there is no overtime on here.
So he completely took it out?
Yeah, there is no overtime on here at all. Yeah.
Because I don't think he
before I
wa-
say, yeah, because
I
he
don't
just-
think he wanted to do that when we were discussing it. I thought he was going to take it down like to 15,000 or something was
It
what he
was.
discussed.
I had 60,000 from 75 to 60.
let me keep looking here through what he
That
gave
is
me.
what he said. Which would have taken it to 15.
Okay, let's see, here we go. He took over, I'm sorry, I'm wrong. He took overtime down to 40,000. And part-time at 50,000. I don't know what he had part-time on here as. 53, and he took part-time down to 50,000. No, 40,000 on overtime. Huh? 53 to 50. Yeah, he changed his perf. He changed the perf to 46,125. 46,125.
It'd actually be a net $7,000 change because we took 1,000 out, so.
Admin fees, he made 11,000, which he left it the same. Longevity, the 2,800, part-time and overtime. Social Security is 38,000, and I gave you perf. Medical insurance was 81,560.
So that additional's for the additional person? That's, yeah.
Yeah, you have to add the person, it was 36,430. So his original budget, he put was 626,119, and this took it up to, or I'm sorry, this took it down to 622,048 with his changes. 622,048. Because it's just salaries in this budget.
There were no changes on page 19 then for the county?
Let me go back, let me pull it and see.
Because he has two persons on, out of the county general.
Okay, so on the page 19, he's got a supervisor at 38,771. He's got an officer at 36,430.
Yeah, that's the same as this here.
Longevity's, he has another one at 36,430. $1,200 in longevity. $1,200 on professional pay. And that's it. 114,031 is what it is.
Could you repeat that total again?
114,031.
I came up with a net increase to his budget from where we were at we were down 10,256. So we're still, now we're going up.
But it's still lower than what he originally,
I'm not getting that
I'm going by the numbers on here.
because I'm getting a $36,000 ad, a $35,000 reduction, a $7,000 ad, a $9,000 ad, $3,000 reduction, $200 reduction, and a $400 ad. And it gets a net difference of $14,690. Now, I didn't worry about any of the salaries because we already rolled those back the last time, but I
I
mean,
have about $10,000 from what he requested, not where we left it.
yeah.
Yeah, it's about 10,000 less than what he requested.
You say you're coming up with more than what he originally requested?
Well, I'm coming up with more than where we stood.
Oh,
We
I see
stood
what
at
you're saying.
216. I'm coming up with more total because I'm coming up with more total than what he would have requested. I've got 14,690 difference because I've got a
I have to
30.
go through now because I know when what he's turned in on his budget is the number.
And it could be because we reduced his budget by several $1,000s in taking our salaries back.
Right. But
So-
yeah, 622,048 is what this says.
Well, he increased, by adding that person, he increased perf, he increased group insurance. That would be the difference.
Yeah, he increased perf, Social Security, group insurance, and he only reduced by 35,000, but he added 36,000. So it is, we're going to be up about 14. And plus, he added 9,000 to the medical. He only took out 300 from, the only real reductions he had was 35,000 from overtime and 3,000 from part-time for 38,000. Well, that's 36 is the person. He added 4,370 for Social Security, 7,000 for perf, 9,000 for medical, and 400 for professional pay. So
Well, that's going
I
to
think
happen when you
it's,
add
I
a
think that's
person.
why it's, yeah.
You add a person, that's going to have all those fringe benefits added. Well, we're okay.
I think it's fine. It just,
Yeah.
I think it went up,
It
but
did. It did, for the reasons stated. I mean, perf's going to go up, group insurance is going to go up. Overtime
Well-
went down.
insurance is a whole nother discussion, guys, because not even close. Because they're paying half of what everybody else is.
Well, we need to look at that.
They're paying half of what everybody else is, and so, but I don't know that they have the budget.
Well, we have the general,
Three,
but it's not in that.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, I mean, they should be paying $180,000 and they're paying 80. Yes. No, our part-time is 50, overtime is 40. 50, 50. No, 50, sorry, it's early. But yeah, they're paying half, less than half of what everybody else is. Because they have 10 employees on this budget, and they're paying $81,000 in insurance.
It's in there,
They
How do we
I don't
rectify
think they
that?
have $100,000 in their budget.
they don't. Yeah, doing it all in 1 year is going to be probably not possible. I just like to know how it got that way. Well, I think Susan's idea of,
He said he wanted to know how it got that way. I said, you know.
That's what I did too, so I don't know if there's something different because that's what his total's coming up to on here. So I
So we have our two other groups here, so what, you want to do what Susan suggested and up at 10 until we get it closer? It'll be after you're gone, but. I, we rectified others by bringing them down. To offset that, we need to raise it up to be fair. Well, that's one.
That's why this number.
Come on. Welcome back. I think we move on, but I think we need to discuss that later this morning, this afternoon. Welcome back.
We're ready.
All right. Sheriff's is 5A. Jail is 21, A and B, 5 and 21.
Well, she's going to need it too.
Get on the right page.
Haven't got it fixed yet. When I get it fixed, I will.
Thank you.
Okay. Council, 5 and 21. We're going to start with sheriff or jail, it doesn't matter. Just tell us which one we're starting with, and we'll get on the right page
Tell
over here.
us.
Yeah.
5 is earlier than 21, so.
Okay.
Which is sheriff?
Okay. Morning.
You use the mic. Whatever changes you have, just, we're here to listen.
We didn't have any changes from what we went through last time.
Okay.
I mean, what you wrote down and what we had, we left.
Okay, I think what you guys were coming back with was to get that whole longevity and talk about the longevity for the rest of the sheriff's department staff. Wasn't that what we remembered they were coming back for? So it really wasn't the budget, it was just to talk about putting the longevity versus matrix, and you ran those numbers and you were going to show us the differences and what it would cost.
And I emailed you that.
Yes.
It
I
was
think that's
very
what we're,
it was very minimal to
it's
start
what
out.
we're here to discuss with them was that, if I remember
And the
correctly.
correction officers, there was some discussion about matrix.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think it was taking everybody to the matrix in the sheriff's department, did you take your admin as well? Like yourself and the rest of the,
I did not do any admins. I did correctional officers only. I did,
how about court security or?
yeah, they would be in there. Yeah,
So basically, it's just COs.
yeah, COs.
Okay. Okay.
Which there, like I said, I think if it was 3 years, it was 7,500. It was under $12,000 to do the 3-year matrix.
How much was it?
It was under 12,000. I emailed it to you.
I know.
It was under $12,000 to do the
Per year.
3-year. It was under $8,000 to do a 5-year. I think I did the 911 officers. I think they were higher because they still have some long-term people, but I did do 911 also.
I read it at home. I didn't copy it.
I
Anybody-
have
Okay.
I have it in my email.
Okay.
I thought we were coming back to talk about raises.
Not
just
yet.
matrix.
We haven't done the commissioners. We don't know how much monies there are, grand net total for raises. We have stated publicly, we're looking at minimum of 3% for the whole county, and hopefully more than that. It's that, we'll know more this afternoon after we have all the department meetings. you know what day that was?
It did include all polls for the jail. On a 3-year matrix, it was $15,000, but if you change to the matrix, the $7,400 longevity, so the increase for 2023 with the 3-year matrix for corrections, which includes courthouse security, myself, it's just all polls within the jail right now. It was an increase of $7,600. On a 5-year, it was an increase of $3,100.
See, here's my concern.
That is already in place.
We'll get you the new one.
Okay, I was gonna say, we was gonna print it off and give it to them if you want me to.
I will.
This was,
I sent it on July 25th, was the date I sent it.
she sent an update on last Wednesday, the 3rd, is another attachment on Matrix.
The one I just sent you on the 3rd, Kenan, was the, that you asked me to send you for the merit officers, how we calculated merit.
That's why it's not making sense. Okay, so
Yeah.
what was the date you originally sent it?
Uh,
25th?
Yeah, I don't think I sent it to anybody but Chad, since he's the one that asked for it. But I will forward that to you right now, Susan, and Debbie's going to go print it off. I sent it to you.
I'm fine.
She just sent
I already
it.
sent it to Debbie. I'm sending it to Susan.
So we'll have it.
I was just looking at what you sent on the 3rd, saying to Kyle, I don't know how to read.
Yeah, what I sent on the 3rd was Kenan had asked for the merit matrix, which is already in place on a 5-year. But that's how, I've got it set up in a spreadsheet where I
So-
just change the year and then it automatically calculates, so that's how you could do it for any other department.
So with the current deputies, road deputies, they're on a 5-year matrix, right?
Correct.
So I'm trying to justify how we would switch the COs to a 3-year matrix.
She sent it for consideration. If you want to hold with the 5-year, I'm good with that. Just because I think it gives them the 3-year or 5-year is going to give them an incentive
Well-
to stay with us, no doubt about it.
I just see an uproar from the deputies if we switch to a 3-year
Well,
matrix.
and I think you're right. It would upset people.
I mean, and then because, then we would have to change all of theirs, which would add an extra $500 to each one, which would be
And I'm good with that if you want to do it, but
I understand. I'm just saying that would be the ramification. If we switch to a 3-year, we're looking at adding roughly an extra $13,000 to the budget because we'd have to switch the deputies to the same.
Let's not do that. What was the number for the 5-year again?
The 5-year was $3,100
Because you take out.
because you take out the longevity that we already have. Now, what that would do though is I'm assuming there are people in there that would be getting longevity that would not be getting longevity now for the next year or 2 or 3, because you start getting longevity at year 2, correct? Is it 2 or I thought it was after 2 years. I think it's 2. I'm pretty sure.
That's why.
Okay, we need to double check that. I'm pretty sure it's 2 because we actually qualified last year.
We just don't want to have a net reduction for anybody.
no, not at all.
That's why,
I know, but you qualified a year out.
yeah.
But how much does the matrix jump per year? 250?
Yes,
So we might be taking 200 from, if they're ready for a longevity jump.
on year 4, and they qualify at year 5.
But the net would be an increase.
Can we do a transition period where we leave that in place?
Yeah, that'd work.
Yeah,
That would make people comfortable.
okay. So we're on the same page. I'm glad we are with some department.
We try.
We appreciate it.
You have 3 people losing the longevity.
It'd make up for it in the matrix. They just wouldn't get as big of a raise as they were expecting.
No,
or
they'd lose it because they are getting it, the longevity now, but if you go to 5 years, they'd lose it for 2 years, or at least a year.
But she's proposing a transition, which would
Yeah,
help
we
us.
need to know how that works in the end, that transition.
That'd be hard to calculate.
I would be
Yeah,
really,
it'd be very hard to calculate, because where do you cut it off? Do you grandfather everybody that's already getting it,
I
that's
suggest,
already hired? Because they're going to go 3 years without it.
we're going to have Susan work with Rebecca
know,
before
so
she
it's-
retires to.
I think
hammer
we need
that
a lot
out.
more discussion on how to transition, because that would,
Can we just state that nobody's going to lose?
yeah.
That can be written in.
I think it's going to get, I think it'd be very convoluted to figure that. That's the whole problem that's got us in the mess we're in sometimes.
That's why I think your correction officers are very young. I think 5 years is a long time for a correction officer with the turnover rate.
I don't disagree, but then again, there's 26 guys out here carrying guns that are not going to be happy. Because we're such,
And I want it to be fair. and-
Yeah.
And I understand where you're coming from.
yeah.
And I think going forward, my suggestion would be, and obviously I'm done in 143 days, but in going forward, yeah,
I thought it was 44. Am I off a day?
we're in today.
Have a sidebar after the meeting.
But my suggestion would be to looking forward as to what, and I hear a lot from, obviously, sheriffs, other counties, and trying to keep people. I would recommend looking at a matrix for all county employees at some point in time. And I know that gets expensive, but it also, in the end, I believe it's what helps retain those good people.
It does.
And so that would be my suggestion. And I know we're ground floor here in both the 5-year and then for merit and then for the non-merit. But
The whole educational system's based on a salary schedule with years of improvement. Every school corporation in the Midwest is based on basically what you call matrix.
yeah, and I think that going forward, that would be my suggestion. Not trying to tell you how to do your job, but if we're going to retain these people, I think that's a plus because we lose a lot of talent.
Okay, so that's our goal. We just have to hammer out 3 or 5. We've got 5 hours of hammering out this morning and this afternoon, and this will be a biggie. He's doing calculations, so he's going to tell us pluses, losses, what's it's going to do, and how it's going to affect raises outside of the sheriff and jail.
Gotcha.
So we have to look at the big picture,
Yes, you do.
because everybody deserves a raise in this 9.1%
I agree.
inflation culture we're in. How many of your, I don't recall, how many of your employees got the 5,005 premium paid?
All the merit, all my road deputies.
Okay. So they got that one-time bump, but that doesn't.
They did,
That
yes.
doesn't go into the next 5 years
Yes.
unless they are really disciplined in their budgeting.
At this time last year, I did a recommendation to increase the matrix, and we ended up just doing salaries. If we were to put everybody on the matrix in the county, it would, this is based on the numbers from last year, so I know this would change slightly. It would be over $356,000.
We'd have to see how many people, what the percentage pay increase would be.
Well, for the new people, it would be
Nothing.
0.
Right.
And for attracting new employees,
be
it would,
zero
it
again.
would do nothing. But for the people who have been here for 20-plus years,
What
it
would
would be,
that be?
well,
How much?
20-plus years, if you give them it'd be 5,000, it could be $4,000 difference. It could be a $4,000 increase. But, so it would definitely weight it much more heavily on the ones who were,
Right.
the ones who've been here a long time, but it would do little to nothing to attract new employees.
The only thing I disagree with there is the possibilities. When you got a true career, a person who looks, and I'm speaking only from Sheriff's Department, and I'd have to let them speak to their offices, but for those individuals who are looking for a career, in law enforcement or in politics in local government. I think that to see that, it would be an enticement. And I know
Already has it.
we have it. And
I'm talking about the admin staff in the auditor's office, or,
And I'm
you know,
talking-
these 20-something-year-old kids who look at a paycheck and not because that's why we are losing them, is because, you know, they're getting, and that's why you're losing some to Geo. Now, they get there and they realize they don't like the job, so they find a different one.
What we're
But when they
finding-
can go out there and make $21 or $22 an hour, or come here and make 16,
what we're finding that we're getting from GEO is not necessarily they don't like the job. What they don't like is the mandatory overtime.
the overtime, yeah,
And
that's
so
what I
we're
mean.
getting those people back. And then when you start talking to them about the possibilities, not many of them want to stay career jail employees, but for those who do want to stick around, the possibility of going to the road, or who want to pick up the experience, and some of them do. You've got the Tina Foxes and the Brent Greers who really want to be there. I think it's an opportunity if you can find a way to do it. You
Yeah,
can
I think
entice
you're,
people
I
who
think
wanna
you're in
be
a
there.
niche department that you have that draw. What I'm worried about is the admin staff in this building and that building that don't necessarily have that niche. I don't know how big of a draw it would be for them.
Well, obviously, we've got some who've been here for a while who would do it, and I think the problem we're going to run into going forward, and when you're talking to
Now,
these other
I
departments.
think they had a lot more enticements because they had a lot better benefits.
Yes,
They had a lot more time off. They had a lot more sick time. They had all those things that we don't have to entice them with anymore, that's outside of the control of these 7 people sitting here.
so I'm just saying a consideration for a possibility of an individual who wants a long-term. If she comes in and she wants to run for, I know she's been clerk, but if she wants to run for another office, those who have aspired to those different positions, and then you also have those individuals, just as you stated, who have, the benefits are there, the possibilities of not having to work weekends, the possibilities of knowing when they're going to have their vacation. We've got to do something, because right now, government is losing on a bigger scale than anyone.
Public entities are losing.
It's just, it's tremendous.
We're 20+% under market value in most cases.
Just looking at the sheriff's matrix, if you went to 3-year, it's $8,250.
Well, and our goal here this whole time is to find monies for raises.
Sure.
And meaningful raises, not 1%, not 2%, but meaningful raises. Across the board, the whole county is underpaid, and we know that. And our goal this year has been to try to get everybody at least very close to the low market, which is 10% below full market. But again, they compare us with Central Indiana, which
Yes.
includes Hamilton,
Yes.
Marion, Hancock,
Puts us
Madison,
down the ladder.
Boone, and our median household income is half what Hamilton is.
Yes.
And yet we're compared with that group that can pay a lot more than we can. Our goal is meaningful raises. I think our options are open, though. I think Kyle mentioned that in our work session. Let's keep all the options open. It just looks like raising taxes is not one of the options that we have an appetite for, because of our low medium household income is going to impact the average citizen, not because of reelection, because it impacts. We are right in the middle of the 92 counties of what we tap lit.
Yes.
Okay? Our median household income is below the median of
I
the
understand.
state. So we've taxed them enough.
Yes.
That'd
I
be
agree.
that'd be an easy solution, but it's not the right solution.
No.
Because they're taxed more than their ability currently.
Right.
So, not being mean, options are open.
When you get to this side of the table, you understand a lot more how it works.
You
when you're on the
understand
other
mean.
side.
I understand mean. I had to deal with
understand mean,
parents,
yes.
and they got mean, but not as mean as the people in your jail. Okay, thank you.
Yes.
We're going to work on that.
Okay.
That's on this afternoon.
Okay. Anything else you need from us this morning?
You have been very helpful and have provided us with all the information we need, so thank you.
Thank you.
And we're going to concentrate on raises the rest of the day
Greatly appreciated.
and probably Monday.
Last go around, so thank you so much.
Thank you for everything, both of you. Thank you. Park. Okay, Park. Not the restaurant, but Memorial. Park is on pages 24 and 25.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Board. I have a question.
Go ahead.
What are the rules of engagement on this particular exercise we're about to do?
That sounds military.
It is.
Okay.
The fact is, the last time I was here addressing you, I was told by people after the meeting that you treated me like a redheaded stepchild. So if you plan to do that again, I'd like to know in advance this time.
I don't know what you're talking about. Don't listen to rumors. Listen to it yourself.
Reliable sources.
I don't even know what that means.
Look, I think we're all friends here, and we should start out in a tenure of friendship.
Excuse me?
I think the rules of engagement are to be respectful to each other.
I don't believe I've been disrespectful to anybody yet. I'm simply asking for clarification of what this meeting's for.
It's to go over some questions we had the other day when you weren't here.
No?
It's just further open and honest discussion.
What is the end goal? Do we have any input into this? Are we going to have any way of moving the answer one way or the other? Because you invited us to a meeting to talk about things and then tabled everything. Wasted our time at the last meeting. Is this going to be a similar thing, or are you going to have
this
give and
isn't the way.
take? That's all I'm asking.
Steve, this is not the way. We're trying to do a lot of things at once. We love the park. We want the best for the park. You're coming in.
Okay, you love the park. When's the last time you were at a park board meeting?
I'm not the liaison anymore, so it's been a while.
If you love the park, why wouldn't you come to the meeting anyway?
I'm supposed to show up at park board meetings where I'm not the liaison. I think that's a weird indicator.
Is this gonna
Anyway,
be a
this
preview
line of
from the
dialogue is
attraction?
irrelevant.
We've got to start over. We've got to move on. I have no idea why you're so angry.
You can't understand that?
No, none of us can. You weren't here. You're being
You
secondhand
weren't here,
information.
okay. You weren't here at the last meeting.
They were.
We listened to Rita and Casey. We made the changes that they recommended in their budget. Did we not, ladies? We changed the part-time person, the secretary, just as you'd asked for. We rolled back salaries because that's what we're doing with every department. We went through and we gave them everything we asked for. We talked about the computer equipment and things. We talked about the reason for this meeting was these ladies were tasked to go out and figure out this whole deal with the printer and the copier. And that was the reason we asked for a follow-up, because they said the copier was end-of-lifing and they did not have the numbers to give us. That was what we had asked for them to come back. We are not to the point where we discuss salaries at all at this point, because that's, again, and you came to the meeting previously and asked the council to do something the council does not have authority to do. That's why we tabled that and told you to go talk to the commissioners, because we, as the council, have zero authority over that house. We have no say-so whatsoever on that house because we don't own it, the commissioners do. So that's why we tabled it at the last meeting, because we don't, and that's where it's hard to understand, and I totally get it. But government is so siloed and so many avenues and so many direct points that, yes, I'm one of the executives of the county, but I don't have authority over a whole lot. The only thing I have authority over is what's in this book right here, and that's it, which is the dollars. I have no authority over a vehicle. I have no authority over a building or anything. That falls in that office right up there at the top of the stairs. So that is why it was tabled the last time. But the reason for this meeting was these ladies were going to go back and do some research. Bobby had given them some suggestions as to what they're using for printers, and they were going to go back and do some research and come back. So you asked what the reasoning for the meeting, that was why we asked them to come back for this meeting.
No, I wasn't talking about this meeting. I was talking about the last meeting, and I know that's old business. So let me move it on up. The 117 fund, why did you move stuff to the 117 fund? That's been, for years, has been in the operation fund that comes with the stipend that we get from the county.
I was going to say that fund was created by the council, authorized by the council, and is budgeted by State Board of Accounts authority by the council.
So we moved some expenses over there because you guys are over budgeted. That's a very simple answer.
How can we be over budgeted?
You're spending,
No longer put any funds into the 1179. That is only tax rate, it's only tax money in 1179. All of your rental fees, sell of
Yeah.
fireworks,
Yeah.
everything now goes into
Yeah.
the 1117, which
Yeah.
takes money out of the 1179. When Tracy had us set this up 2 years ago, it was to move those funds in. That's what that fund's for. I can give the ordinance if you'd like to see it, to show that it's to run the parkway. That's what the ordinance says.
We do this with every single department in the county that has these non-reverting funds. This is the report from Baker Tilly that we received at the beginning of the budget. The park was $88,000 negative cash flow. You were spending $88,000 more than your estimated receivables for this year.
and it's our
That's
job
what
to
your
help you
budget was.
balance
So how were you
your
over budget? That's how you were over budget. You were spending the budget that the park board and the superintendent presented was $88,000 over budget. So,
And
can
if
you-
you bring
no
a
one can
budget to
operate
us
that way.
that's not balanced, it's our job to help you balance it. That's what we were elected to do.
Well, my opinion was the 1117 fund, because it was derived from revenue from shelters and those kinds of things, would be set aside to improve the park, not operate the park. That's my concern, because if everything we do in the park turns out to be going to operations, how are we going to maintain the shelters and the restrooms and all these other things that still need to be repaired?
Well, of the budget, of the $14,000 that's budgeted in 1117, $8,000 is in there for repairs and maintenance.
Steve, I think important context here. Sorry, Chad, did you have more?
Well, I was just going to say $8,000 is in there for repairs and maintenance. We took out the utility services. So it actually, 8,000 of the 10,000 that we budgeted is for repairs and maintenance. It's not for operations. The only thing in here for operations is $1,500 in janitorial supplies and $500 in printing. The remainder of that is for exactly what you're requesting.
I understand what you're saying. What I don't understand is why you would want to cap that, why we can't control what we earn through our work and use it to back into the park, not operationally.
Do you
That's
understand what the funds used to go to, how that used to work?
Yeah, it used to go up to the general fund and be,
So it went right back into your 1179 fund.
if
So-
we needed it, or if we could get it.
So it went to offset your 1179 fund, is what it did. So now that it's held separately, we have to budget those things. And there's nothing that says you cannot come to the council and ask for an additional appropriation, but you don't have carte blanche on this, because that's not the way the state of Indiana runs their accounting. If you have an issue with that, you need to drive about 45 miles west of here, because we don't control that. We do what the state tells us to do, and we are required statutorily to budget this fund and manage this fund. It is not the park board's fund. It is the council's fund that is for the good of the park. And so we are the ones who have to approve the funds out of here according to the state board. And Debbie and Bobby can attest to that. That is the way that government works, and government finance, and I've been doing this for years, is confusing as ever because there's so many little quirky things about it. But unfortunately, we can't just, it's not like you have a check account that you can just spend as you please.
I'm not concerned about the government stuff. What I'm concerned about is the fact that nobody bothered to ask, is there anything on the table that we might want to spend that money on?
Yes, we did, and you should have been at the last meeting. They actually did talk about some things, and we did talk about that. And there was some talk about a cabin, the golf cabin, if I'm not mistaken, Casey.
Yeah.
So yes, we did, Steve. If you would have either tuned into
Okay.
the last meeting or attended the last
Okay.
meeting, you would have seen that we had that discussion. And as we told them then, they didn't have numbers. They don't have quotes. We don't have any clue. We said they would have to come back and ask for an additional appropriation. That balance of that account is currently $36,904 because we verified that at the last meeting. And so we did have all those discussions. So you coming in here all aggressive and upset, we did exactly what you were talking about. So you're really setting the mood of this meeting off on the wrong foot.
Absolutely right. Your tone, it was aggressive and hostile, and we can do things better. And by the way, with food and beverage this spring, I think we showed our support for the park in a big way.
I wondered when somebody was going to bring up the food and beverage money. Is that an excuse then for just ignoring, oh, we'll take anything and do anything we want to with the budget because you've got this food and beverage money?
No, I think it
Are we
demonstrates.
are we not supposed to be the board and manage the park?
I think.
Or are you guys going to manage
Do you want to keep
the
talking
park?
over me, or would you like a response?
I don't care whether you respond or not.
Take the mic over to you, ladies. We're going to gain, the rule of engagement is you're going to stop and let them talk because you weren't even here.
Kenan.
There was no disrespect. Go back and listen to the live stream. This man here gave no respect. Ask any of these people who are here. Ask those. You disrespected us today coming in, both barrels loaded. This is ceasing right now. You two speak because you were here and know what happened the other day. Did we respect you? Did we respect you, disrespect you?
I'm not talking about the other day. I'm
Kenan.
talking about your regular meeting. That's what I'm talking about.
I have a question. Do we have questions we need to ask them, or should we just do we need something from them? Because this is very unproductive.
We need to understand what the situation is with their printer. Because
Okay,
that was the
printer,
whole premise.
printer only. Let's talk about the printer.
Because Bobby had given them, is it Weber, Bobby, that you had asked him to contact?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
25B for those.
In the, yeah, in the computer equipment. So,
No.
can you hear me? Sorry. Okay, so the Leap IT quote, which I got first, it runs the smaller. I only need to print a legal size. I don't need 11 by 17 and all that crazy bigger stuff. The quote I got from Leap IT, which is who we bought our current one from, that is who the contract is that services it and maintenances and paper and all that stuff for additional month, was $3,200. And that one, sorry, I should have printed copies. It's a smaller one. It's a smaller setup.
How much did you say it was?
$3,200. Now, under Bobby's suggestion, I contacted Weber and Muncie. What they have, which is actually, he wrote in the quote here, we have sold some of these to the courthouse. It is bigger. It's the closest thing that they had to what we're running to be able to run the legal size paper, and that one is $3,495. So it's actually more, and it's 2 years older. If I went with Weber, and like I said, I mean, this printer, when the park purchased it in 2018, I went back and checked. When they purchased it, it was 2 to 3 years old. To date, the current printer we have is 10 years old, and they discontinued parts 8 years ago. So the pieces, the parts for them to get are just dwindling down. The printer itself works. It's the scanner that I'm having issues with. It's the wheel that feeds the papers in, and when they come out, they replace that wheel as they have them, but it's something in the mechanical that's breaking the wheel, and when that mechanical piece breaks, sorry, this is just what the tech is telling me. When that breaks, it's going to be done. So he's just replacing the wheels as he can get them. It could break next week, it could break next year. Like, it's
So,
hit or miss, like,
On that $3,000, it was a little over 3,000 you said on the
for the
one.
smaller one, yeah.
Is there a service contract on top of that, or is
No,
that?
that would be additional, and the additional is the contract, which is the warranty, the paper, and the ink, which is what the park currently pays now, is it was 109, I think it went up to 127.
So do they just charge you per page of that?
No, it's a set amount. No matter how much we print, no matter how much we do, they send the ink straight to the park, and everything is provided under that.
Per month,
Yeah.
127 a month?
Yeah, 120 something a month. And if something breaks, they come out and clean it like every 2 months or something like that.
So
They come
you
out and
would
clean it
need
themselves.
roughly about $3,400 for the year to cover all of the expense for that printer? With the
Just a-
purchase of the printer and then the,
No, the 127 is a month,
Per month.
and that's
Oh,
already
sorry.
included in our budget. We're already paying that now. That's already included. Like, I'm not asking for that additional. It's just the actual purchase of the printer is the additional.
I can't hear over is this smaller one new?
Yeah, it is new. Yeah, that's included.
so is that on the
Yeah, that's
computer
already-
equipment line?
That's already included what we're paying.
Is it in the computer equipment line?
Yeah, the computer equipment line, yeah.
Okay, so you said,
It was one, yeah, it was 109, and then it just went up because of a fuel surcharge. Yeah. For that.
so
and
I would
then-
recommend we increase that line item, the $1,800, to get them $4,800 in that line item. That way they could purchase the printer and take care of the service contract. And then next year, you guys, that would be the computer and equipment,
Yeah.
4,000.08. We reduced it 6,000 until we discussed the
Which fund are you on?
25B, which is the 1179 fund.
Computer and
The
equipment.
4,000.08, I would recommend we increase that back to 4,800. We have it at 3,000 now, so we have basically enough to cover the service charge. Does that sound reasonable to everyone?
Yes.
Thanks for researching it.
Thank you. We're also working on our gas situation too. They actually just came out and we contacted Dennis Equipment and we contact Tough Stuff, Tough Stuff is where we purchased the mowers from. And they actually suggested ethanol-free gas for those mowers. So we're actually not doing the least amount, but we're not doing the absolute best amount at the 90 plus. They just filled us up Monday, and our our amount is down to $3.57 a gallon. So that's better than
That's
over
much
$4.
better than
Much,
what
much,
you were.
much, much.
And
Thank
so
you.
what, I contacted the head guy down there, and he's going to call me back, but hopefully we can get in a contract where that price isn't fluctuating as much. That's what my goal is.
Do you still think you're going to need that inflated amount at 20,000 to cover it, or do you think
Depend-
we can drop that a little bit to accommodate?
Depending on if we can get into a contract with them. I mean,
Well, I know that we have strongly encouraged the commissioners to try to look at a countywide contract, because if the commissioners can do that and take all the departments to bid,
right.
and in one bid, then with the buying power, it should, because I know the sheriff's department right now is saving over $1.50 a gallon by the contract, and they are the only department that utilizes the contract.
I know we're
They're
going to,
saving significantly, and if the entire county would go together and bid, each department would still have to pay their own bills, but it would be billed at that contracted amount, which would be a locked-in rate, so you wouldn't have the fluctuations of the ups and downs that we've had in the past.
right. And
few
see,
years.
and we have the diesel too. So actually between, if you want to kind of to guesstimate here, with what the gallons of gas we used last year and what we're projected for this year, I mean, we're about 3,500 gallons just in gas, and then we've got probably another 800 gallons in diesel. So if you want, if you want to kind of math that up a little bit to kind of, it's hard to say not knowing if we get in a contract, and we can stay at a price, then yeah, we'll have a set amount, but
Well,
this-
the contract next year may be like 350.
right, yeah.
We just don't know.
Exactly, yeah. So what I
Because
quoted it as,
they're
I believe,
losing
was
money now.
473.
The contractor's
high.
losing money. We locked it in at a very low price, and they're having to honor it. So,
Council at their meeting if it was okay if we went in with the sheriff's department.
yes, we're encouraging all departments because there's many vehicles in the building, the health department or in the county.
Right.
The health department, weights and measures, everybody get on that.
Okay.
Countywide should save everybody.
So I don't need to ask them yet.
They're
That
aware.
bids out, I think, towards the end of the year, is it October, November? So it's coming up, and hopefully the commissioners will get with, because you guys, the highway department, the sheriff's department, I mean, even weights and measures and others, would be good to pool everybody together because you're already buying it from the same place, which is crazy. You're buying it from Co-Alliance. You're just paying a lot more because you're not on the contract. No, because you're not on the county contract. So if we could create a contract that would cover countywide, it would save the county significantly across the board. And in your case, it's directly to your department, and it hits your bottom line. So in that, I did some quick math. And if we take her 4,300 gallons times $4, it comes out right at $17,000. I would recommend we drop the fuel line by $3,000.
With what you're paying now, you
Yeah.
could have it less.
And
than
it
what
could
you're
be
paying.
less than
Right,
that. I averaged it out $4 a gallon, which I think it would be less than that.
Yeah, our diesel's probably going to be most of the time over 4, but
Yeah, but I think the
Yeah.
average would be less than that, especially on a locked-in contract. So gas, oil, and lube, I think we could lower that to help accommodate for the $88,000 we're off. We're not that far off anymore, but we're getting much closer.
What's
But
your
yes.
proportion of regular gas to diesel? You may have mentioned that the other
She's
day.
35 versus 800,
Okay.
3,500 versus 800.
yeah, we don't use that much gas, diesel.
17.
17,000 on gas.
Now,
That's the,
I do have two other things, and I
2002.
know the rules, we're not allowed to add to this, but we just got our insurance premiums Monday, and the $1,000 for the workman's comp, for some reason, it wasn't budgeted in here last year, and it's not budgeted in here for this year. So I had to take the $1,000 out of this year's general labor fund, if that's possible to not have to do that for next year. And also, our liability insurance went up $2,000 as well than what I budgeted, $2,100. I budgeted $8,000 for the building and equipment insurance, and it's $10,167. Those were two.
Yeah, I mean, do I even see a line item for work comp? Is it on here? That all, the building and equipment insurance, is it all taken out of that? So we could add that $3,000 back into that? Okay, so the 3,000 we just took from gas, we're gonna shift down to there. Does that sound reasonable?
is that the 3,008 at the bottom?
Yeah, the 3,000.08,
So it's going into
so,
the building and equipment insurance. And that's
does
gonna
that, so you need $3,000 increase is
Very
what you
bottom
need.
line.
Yeah.
And yes, you
1,000
can increase, that's why we're
Building and
doing
equipment,
this.
building.
So we can
and three,
change
the
that.
three we just took
Our
off.
liability premium was $10,167.35, and then the workman's comp was $1,000. So, yeah.
So,
And then I budgeted just the $8,000 for that, so.
Yeah.
11,000.
Does anybody, Debbie, do you have the total yet for?
We haven't the only building they added, I believe, was the Phillips, wasn't it? The Phillips shelter on the south side?
but
And
we
that's
took
not
that-
technically.
We took that away.
Right, that's not
It's in that-
technically,
and
we
you've
haven't
taken
added
away-
any
You've
buildings.
taken away other buildings.
There's no other, nothing on the north side is new.
Now they built that bridge, but
Yeah.
That's on
that
the
wouldn't-
trail, I mean.
I would double check your spreadsheet because
Well, I didn't get a spreadsheet, I just got the,
Yeah, because they probably,
and who knows when the last
they
time that was
probably have
updated. I mean,
less shelters now than they used to, because I know they tore down a few. And
we're just going on
you
the
built
north
back
side.
one, but tore it down, so it was a,
I gave him a list of all of our shelters. I gave him a list of all of our shelters and stuff when we had the insurance claims.
Okay.
So,
yeah, and it could, the insurance claims certainly affect it. I know that's what affects work comp.
And I
We're still dealing with some of those claims, like that major accident we had a couple years ago.
one on the south side.
Yeah,
Yeah.
again, I don't know whose land that park
Again,
covers. Yeah.
Top of the stairs.
Yeah.
I want
don't-
nothing to do with that conversation.
I just know what we do too. I don't know how that goes.
Yeah,
far as that stuff.
that's way outside of our control too.
Anything else for the park? That was the one thing that was carried over.
What's our total? Are we?
Well,
It went down 38,700.
What's the total of it now?
500,790.
Could you repeat that one more time, Debbie?
500,790.
just understand that still puts you almost $50,000 over your receivables. You have enough in your carryover to accommodate it, but next year, it's going to reduce the amount of money that you have available. So you'll have to really look at your budget hard next year. Because your tax rate and with everything, it'll definitely affect you. So you may have to look at some additional cuts next year. You can carry that over this year and get away with it, but it's still going to, next year it could come back to haunt you a little bit. So.
And we're just talking about the 1179 and 1117. We're not talking about what you got from ARPA and other sources. This is just internal.
Do you guys have any questions for us about what we mean by that?
No. Oh,
Okay.
thank you. I don't. Do you have any questions, Ethan?
Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. Debbie, I think we're going to talk yours, the auditors. We haven't done yet.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Not a problem. Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
We all were.
Okay. No. Okay, we're going to go to auditors, which is easy, page 2. We're going to roll back all the wages like we did all other departments, which takes us down to extra help is new. Do you want to explain that, Debbie?
So my staff's all new. My last one that has any experience is retiring next month. I put that in there so that during tax time, or busy times like that, she could come in and work a few hours a week to help out with the new girls to get them, because like I said, my staff's gonna be all new. It helps Jody out, she helps Jody's office out as well, during that time. Sorry. So the reason for the part-time is because all my staff's new. And she's willing to come in a few hours a week during our busy time, tax time. It helps the auditor and treasurer out as well, doing that, because she does all of the return mail that we get back. So that was the reason for the part-time. That way, it would help out and not knowing whether we were going to be able to replace people who retired or not, where we were going with that as well.
How's that? Oh,
You
you
think
meant
you'll
not
need
allowed to.
Yeah.
But how's it going for your hiring?
I haven't advertised it yet. I figure I would probably start that. She won't have any payout, so I figure I will start that. Her last day is the 15th of September.
How many people
So
are
I
you
figure I'll
short right
start
now?
so I figure I'll start it here before long, unless she's getting ready maybe to have major surgery, so.
Who are you losing?
Tanya Pelfrey, she's actually the one that has the most time in the office.
How many people are you working short right now?
I have not replacing the one, that's how I put the raises in the way I did. I will be down 3 people from when I started.
How many people do you have total?
How many do I have? 3, 6, 7. There's 9 counting myself.
Okay, so you and Bobby, and then you have 7 other people currently. And how many open? 3?
I have 1 open position that I have not filled this year because the girls have done okay without it. And then I will have a second one come September 15th open.
Okay.
Yeah, and I've given back 2 positions since I've been here.
So you're down from 11 to 9 total currently, and you've got some openings.
Yeah.
So you were down from 13.
No, I'm down 13. I gave up 2 positions and 1 position I haven't filled.
Down to 11, and now you're down to
And then, yeah. Yeah, they've taken on, yeah. And I can say that, you know, the girls are good about doing it, and that's why I feel like changing their job titles to an SO, because they do every job in the office. I mean, the girls have worked hard at going and learning all the other jobs to be able to walk into any one position. I learned the hard way, not having everybody cross-train. Bobby and I learned the hard way that you don't do that in an office, and it's taken a lot to get that done. But they don't complain, and they can walk in any position and help with that position.
So basically, you've done what Susan kind of recommended, was you've taken out this position, this $32,000 payroll position, and just wanted to spread it out amongst the rest of your employees.
Yeah. Because like I said, the girls have been the staff I have now is very good. They're young. Makes a big difference when you have young kids, you know. Everybody's under 40, well, most of them are under 40, a couple of us are, but they don't hesitate to pick up and help wherever they're needed. And they deserve that raise to get that, because I have eliminated positions and they've stepped up and helped.
So you went from 13 down to 11, now you're down to 9, but you're not trying to get back up to 11. You want to use one of them for this extra help? Or 2 of them or one of them? I'm trying to understand.
Just one.
One of them. So you're trying
only
to get back
because
to
in the
10.
real estate office, they're so new in there. I feel like they need that person back in there to help them because they're very
So
new.
you're trying to fill one spot.
Yeah, you only have 10 bodies, but you have 13. You had 13 positions. You have 11 left in your budget. She has 10 bodies. She's cutting out that one. She's going to be losing another that she does want to replace. But she basically has taken the department from when she took it over 4 years ago, from 13 to 11 positions in the budget, but only 10 bodies to fill those positions, because she's absorbed that one position too. So she wants to,
So are we going to remove the 11th from the budget then?
yes, that's what she's done in this
Well,
budget.
That's what I've done in that budget, eliminated
Yeah,
that.
if you
and
look
put
at
the raises.
settlement deputy 1000.10, 1000.10 on page 2, she's zeroed that out in the budget. She's removed that position from the budget.
Yeah, I mean, they picked up the work and they're doing it.
10's the magic number? Is that what I'm hearing from?
If I can keep my staff at 9, I'll be happy. With 9 right now, yes,
And that's
With the
everybody's-
extra help?
with the extra help. Which, if you look, the way I did my budget only went up the extra help. You know, my budget only increased the extra help. I didn't increase my budget from last year.
Now, you just took the raises and spread it out
I
over,
just took the raises and
everybody
spread them
else.
out.
Her net request was 5% more. That was it.
Oh,
Okay, I know I sound really stupid. This budget right now has 10 positions or 9?
9.
It has 9 plus the extra help, and that's how you want it.
That's how I want it.
Okay, fair enough.
As long as I can give the raises to the girls since I spread the work out.
So
how many
I-
people are under the clerk's
sorry, go
position, Debbie?
2.
2?
They got, and the clerk's position in there got a bigger raise because those girls are only at the 31,000, and I wanted to move, because they do help do settlement, they help do claims, I moved them up to what those other positions made. Yeah, the 2 and, yeah,
One of those is the commissioner's secretary under clerk.
under clerk, yes.
Okay.
And she is a huge asset to my office.
Okay, good. Mike?
I had it a second ago. Oh, yeah, I know. Who's Mike? Are these numbers known by everybody in your office? Okay, I was just curious.
No, I don't know. It's been so long ago since we did it, I don't really remember how we did it. I know that on mine increased because most auditors get extra pay for commissioners' meetings and council meetings. So that's why mine increased as way it did, because I put in those extra pays for the meeting that a lot of auditors get. And then Bobby's increased because hers increases with mine. And then our
80%.
payroll deputy, she picks up for Bobby. When Bobby's not here, she's Bobby's backup, besides doing payroll and settlement. She used to be settlement. And she helps when Ann's not here, she helps do the HR stuff.
So,
And
Some of the
actually,
percentages are lower.
Well, we did, because
Some of
we
them
went
are
with
lower.
1,500, because at one time you guys had talked about 1,500.
Yeah, like
so we
the
made sure that everybody at least got that.
The
I
first deputy's at 1,100. The draftsman's at $1,281.
Yes. We didn't increase Olivia's as much because she's still in training to learn to do the drawings. So once she learns to get
So
all
I
of
get-
that,
so
then it
you're
could
re-
increase. But she's still in training.
So you're requesting that all of your positions beyond you and Bobby become SOs, is what you're saying?
That's the only way I can give them the raises. I can't give them the raises any other way because I have to stay within the class. But I don't, in order to get rid of Wagner was put in place because we had that favoritism years and many years ago. Oh, I like this person, so I want them to have a raise. But I don't like this person, so I'm not giving them a raise. And it literally happened. We had some positions that went years without raises once we put Wagner in place because they were paid so far over.
Okay.
That's why Wagner was put into place, because we did not show that favoritism. That's why it was done.
other questions? Extra help, you need the 20, given the scenario you're planning. Okay. You cut out the payroll settlement is what's listed on ours. Longevity would go down 3,000 based on your proposal. Explain to me drafting, because drafting's,
She draws on the maps. She does any kind of property that's split, combined, new property. She goes in GIS and draws them
okay.
on my side, not on.
So it's more
GIS.
GIS, really?
Yeah, they're two totally different GIS positions. She does just the auditor and assessor part as far as the combines and splits. Steve's position does the 911. They do all the drains.
Right.
They do voter registration. They do like all of the recount, when they do.
Redistricting?
Redistricting, there you go, sorry. When they do that, that position does that. Mine strictly does just
Property.
real estate GIS. So they're two totally different positions. She doesn't have one. Mine covers her office and mine.
Okay. So you have drafting technicians that assist the draftsman position? And that's two? Okay. Office supplies went up 1,000, most did. Printing and records, you stayed the same. Postage went up $14. That's sufficient?
I guess, I'm not really sure why I only did that.
You just rounded it up to 4,000, it was
That's
39.
probably what I did, yeah.
Okay. Travel up 1,000? Is that like conferences and whatnot? Okay.
It looks like you shifted it a little bit, Debbie, from dues. Your dues must have went up a little bit.
Our
and you
dues
took-
went
You
up.
transferred it from
Yeah, they
postage,
did.
that's why, because it actually was 4,000.
Yeah.
They just shifted the $14.
Yep, gotcha. Gotcha. So travel's going up, conferences and whatnot.
And, you know, you could take the travel back down because I can use the, as long as there's still money in the other one, we need to check the money in it through the recorder. No, I can't, but I can use the $1,000 of my part could come. You
So,
could take that back down.
Back to 1,500? Okay, we're going to take travel back to this year's
Or
1,500.
they've cut our meetings way back anyway. State Board of Accounts prefers to do them all online, and that's the worst way you can do a conference is online.
COVID started that trend.
Yeah, I mean, you sit there and you listen for 8 hours, and your mind, by 2 hours in, my mind's where it should be.
I think attention span's about a half hour. Equipment maintenance, you kept the same. Dues, that's what we were talking about, at $790. Computer training, you kept at $0. Grand total, the only thing we've changed, because we backed every salary back to what it was travel back to 1,500. So we cut that 1,000 out. Any questions? And the part-time was, took out payroll and put in.
But my request is to change all those positions to SO to give them, since I have taken away the 3. Yeah, but I've taken away the 3 positions and spread the work out amongst them and made sure everybody was
So
cross-trained.
basically, you're saying if we can't do that, then we need to add that position back in.
Yeah,
is what
because
you're
I
saying.
mean, I don't think it's fair to those girls to take 3 positions and spread them amongst them and not, you know, and not, yeah.
So if
and-
we add that position back in, then can we get rid of the extra help? Yeah.
I don't know, because my understanding right now with Wagner, I can send it to them, but it's going to be a while because they're in the middle of budgets. And I don't know when they're going to get anything back to me. I'll get that done this week or the first of next week. Mm-hmm. Yep. I mean, and yeah, and I mean, the thing about it is, I know we've heard everybody say, we want everybody, we were not going to hire if we don't hire with experience. I would love to have that attitude. There's nobody out there with experience to come in, but you have to be very cautious about who you hire that's got, with the money and stuff. But, there's no people out there with experience that we need for these positions.
These wages, you're not going to get.
You're not. You're not.
Well, you just have to train them, and that's a process. It takes
It does.
a year.
And like I said, I'm very lucky that I have the young girls that I have that are willing to learn and, they're good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, they're willing to
was
learn,
pretty
and they're
close to the right
teachable.
range.
That's an asset.
But I just don't like anything that puts people in boxes. That's my big thing.
Okay. There is a public hearing at 10, so we have to get out of here for a little bit.
Boy, handbook.
Or move to the side. Okay. Looking at our agenda, some of the things we need to look at, we haven't really hammered out, are part-time. That's okay.
We're just using, that the job classification system makes it hard for people to do what we want them to do, which is to be creative in their
Right. And everything I've heard historical is it's to be fair and not play favorites, and I understand why it's there.
But it's possible that other departments could do the same thing, potentially spread out job responsibilities.
I printed that off this morning.
I think we're going to have an avalanche of everybody asking for SOs. So it's not a perfect system, but it does kind of alleviate some of the favoritism, I think. Some of the things we need to look after this public hearing is part-time. We talked about longevity. We have a letter from Kit Crane about probation longevity. We talked earlier today that we need to talk a little bit more about jail matrix. Kyle wrote down the other day, we talked about a note from Wagner Irwin Shealy recommendations for prosecutor and public defender's offices. We didn't really hammer out and have a discussion on the EIRPC renewal. And I wrote in rainy day fund simply because when Jason was here, he said a lot of counties are boosting that because of inflation, and that we might want to at least talk about it on the rainy day fund, because it has been $205,000 for at least, I'm guessing, 5 years. I know the 4 years we've been here, and I think it was $205,000 in 2018 as well. Probably longer, according to Chad. So just talk about it. Yeah. Okay, 15 years. It's just something we've not, I think probably because they wanted that money to go to raises when they could. I don't, that's why. See, Bobby? And the next 214 days or whatever you have left, talk about it. Talk about it. That's fine. Okay. We're having a sidebar here about rainy day fund, but we'll have an open one here before we close for the year. There was some talk with 2 departments we met with about moving elected heads, similar salaries, and closer because they're kind of all over the map. And that was kind of like assessor, clerk, recorder, treasurer. Okay, anyway, that came up with a couple of meetings we had, so just a placeholder to discuss. Available monies to date, we can talk after this public hearing in a few minutes. We can talk about where we're at today, because I'm not sure I have a grand total after this morning's discussions, and some of that will depend on the jail matrix discussion. Then we have, Chad has a proposal. I have a proposal on spreadsheets, really pretty close. Where we're at, we're not far apart. We're not going to arm wrestle over that. Emphasis on the difference between the Wagner, Irwin, Shiley market, full and low, versus the AIC 9 counties. Because if you look at the 9 counties between 40 and 50,000 population, it deviates quite a bit because that's spread throughout the state, where we're lumped in on market values to central Indiana that is higher than the state as a whole. So maybe looking at both, given what I said about our median household income is less than most others in central Indiana. And if you head towards Indy, it's a lot less than, it's half of what Hamilton County is, as an example. So they have a lot more resources and revenues than what we can disperse. And then we break for commissioners at 11. We're going to break here shortly for lunch, have an early lunch, brunch. We'll have a brunch. And then the commissioners is at 12:15 to 1:15. And after commissioners, we need to update available monies available in the general fund for raises. And that's going to be pretty much the afternoon, is hammering out what can we do with raises. And I've articulated desire 3% as a starting point. It's a floor, and hopefully we can go up and be reasonably chip away at this high inflation rate we're all faced with these days. And then I think, Debbie, I think we talked about it at our council meeting. This will be a public hearing in the August meeting. It'd be 6 o'clock. Okay. Just make sure on your calendars our August 25th meeting is at 6 o'clock, because it's a public meeting to discuss the budget for 2023. We're going to get out of the way. Bobby, exit stage left or right. They have a public hearing scheduled and advertised. We're coming back between the two. We were told this one may not last a long time. I'll just move it to the side. August 25, 6 p.m., because it's a public hearing. We'll move stuff out of your way. Bobby?
Hello, Steve. We got a zipper. Damn zipper broke. We need needle noses to pry it apart. That's his. Oh, no, I'm thinking, this should be. Oh, you're okay.
I haven't gotten that. Okay, we'll call this special meeting of the Commissioners to order regarding the demolition order dated July 28, 2022. And Scott, I'm just going to hand it right over to you.
Okay, so basically, I got some calls. I have pictures and copies of everything I'll give you guys. So I got a call from a concerned citizen about the grain elevators or whatever that is in Honey Creek. That's not in good shape. Went over there, took a look, took some pictures. This all started in March, end of March. Got in contact with the owner of the property, he lives in Indianapolis. I expressed my concerns with the community. He agreed that something needed to be taken care of it. I strongly advised him to go over, put no trespassing signs all over everything, try to do his part for now. And he was supposed to get back in contact with me that next Tuesday. He never did. And I have not been able to get in contact with him. I believe we've maybe probably sent him a few more letters. Never has got in contact back with me. And then I talked to the local fire departments, or that's their jurisdiction, and basically they said, well, we've just been waiting on the call that it's on fire and we can go watch it burn, because they don't have the means to put something out that tall. There's a lot of termite damage. There's been somebody parking a vehicle right on the side of it. I have talked to the neighbors, explained the concerns that I have on parking on the property and near it. We're one good storm away from it being on the ground. I don't necessarily think the silo portion of it is an immediate danger. As of now, it's made out of different material, but there's so many ways for kids to get in there and play in it, and it could collapse and potentially take somebody's life. So talked to Joel. He's put all this in order. So that's all I have.
How far is that house next door away from it?
I would
Seems pretty
say,
close.
It's pretty close. I don't necessarily think it's in a danger zone for the house, but the person that has been parking next to it is actually parking on this property. But the only way they can pull into their garage area is through this owner's driveway. So they have permission to be there. They're taking care of the property as far as mowing and things of that nature, but it's getting bad. And the worst corner is where she parks. So I was going to talk with the sheriff's department and see if maybe they could go over there, talk to the neighbors, explain to them, maybe coming out of a deputy's mouth, maybe they might take it with a little bit more consideration now how dangerous it is. But I have no authority to make her not park there. But we're one storm away from that thing falling on the ground.
So Joel, the next steps, so we will, assuming we vote to deem this unsafe, so what are the next steps after that?
The purpose of today is a hearing. The county has adopted the state's unsafe building code, which provides that the building inspector can issue certain types of orders with respect to buildings that are unsafe. If the order consists of to demolish a building, then it requires a hearing, which we're here for today. If it's some lesser steps, in some instances, the person doesn't have a hearing right unless they request one. In this particular instance, it's automatic. I would note then that we sent this order to Mr. Romo at the end of last month. He did sign a certified receipt for it on July 30th, so he does have notice of today's hearing. The step today would be you can either affirm the order, modify the order, or rescind the order to demolish the property. If you affirm it, it would require Mr. Romo to demolish the property within 30 days of the date of the order. If he doesn't do that, then we can proceed through court to get an order directing him to do it. Or we could also get an order allowing the county to enter upon the property and do the work to demolish the property, and then assert a lien against the property and obtain a judgment against him for the amounts done.
Steve, do you have any questions? Ed, do you have any more questions? Do I have a motion to affirm this order, or to rescind it, or to, I forgot the third one.
Modify it.
Modify it.
Make a motion to affirm.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 3-0 to affirm the demolition order.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Joel,
I have
will you just let me know next steps?
Yep, absolutely.
Yep, just get in contact with me. Let me know what I need to do next. I'm going to talk to the sheriff's department, see if maybe they can get out there and talk to them. And yeah, see what we got to do next.
Yeah.
Okay?
That works.
All right. Thank you.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All right. Yeah, that's fine.
I do have another copy. I don't know if it makes the ARA different. An updated copy. You want to see
Okay. Yeah, if you don't mind.